Go.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's not Tuesday this week. Today it's a Wednesday. We'll get that sorted out soon enough.
That was some shit.
It's your
It's
tech
fine.
news.
Yeah.
The
Good old weekly tech news.
Yep, it's your boy Captain Khan, Justin. We got Helios, Jerry, and Takedown 52, David. Same as usual.
Same
This
shit,
week we're
different
going to
day.
discuss a lot of mobile news because that's really the big shit right now. Some China shit, and yeah. So we'll get her started off. So I guess our opening thing is going to be MWC's been canceled. Even though it was
We all saw that coming.
we did.
Yeah, it's fucking China.
The hosting company for the whole show, GSMA pretty much said up till this morning that they intended to continue holding the show even though a significant number of their vendors and the show hosts weren't going to come. Specifically, Sony, Nokia, TCL, ZTE, Facebook, Amazon, Apple, and a couple others, including LG, all said that nah, fuck this shit, I'm out, pretty much. And
Basically because coronavirus is a piece of shit.
yep, over and this is all over concerns of worker health, employee health. That's number one for any company, I would assume, at least. And GSMA said that regardless of who doesn't show, we're going to continue the show anyway. Turns out, though, that's not true because as of, I think it was like...
If you have no one to perform, you don't have a show.
Yeah, well, I think it was as of like 2 o'clock Eastern time or something. The show was canceled. The official press release reads as, with due regard to the safe and healthy environment in Barcelona and the host country today, the GSMA has canceled the MWC Barcelona 2020 because the global concern regarding the coronavirus travel concern, and other circumstances, make it impossible for the GSMA to hold the event. The host city parties respect and understand this decision. The GSMA and the host city parties will continue to be working in unison and supporting each other for MWC Barcelona 2021 and future editions of the show. Our sympathies at this time are with those affected in China and all around the world. I believe Spain didn't characterize the coronavirus as a health emergency or threat up until this whole press release went out.
I'm sure.
I think that was part of the reason why GSMA was holding out for the show to continue, because they couldn't cancel it until Spain had recognized that coronavirus was a threat. Which is kind of a terrifying thought that, a world player...
I think they just didn't delay it. I think they didn't delay it until like maybe another month or so.
They must have been thinking that they weren't China, so who cares?
MWC occurs at a specific time every year. It's
I know,
it's always within the third week of February, or I think it's the third week of February.
Yeah, but usually a big event like this happens.
Do you think it's just canceled, or do you think that
I think it's
if
canceled.
If given the opportunity, they would do another one in 2020?
I'm pretty sure it's canceled. I think that's it for MWC in 2020. I expect that any of the big players that had announcements to make at MWC, once the coronavirus situation is kind of taken care of, I expect that they'll have their own press releases. Like, I believe LG is going to end up dropping their, the G9 this year. I think we were on the G8 ThinQ last year. The G8 or
They're
G9,
trying to come back.
and I think the V60 is supposed to drop this year too. Whatever the case may be, obviously at some point, LG is going to make an announcement for their new phones. Nokia as well will have their new stuff, since they're a big player again.
This is basically the E3 of phones.
Yeah, TCL. I don't believe TCL is a phone company though. I believe TCL's TVs, and ZTE is the phone company. Facebook, Amazon, and Apple, they'll all have their own things going on. Apple always has its keynote in September for whatever it's going to drop. Although I believe iPads have been announced at MWC before, since it's the Mobile World Congress.
It's something Apple will reveal, like something like a iPhone, like the budget iPhone of the year.
Yeah.
like an SE sort of phone.
So Apple will probably end up figuring out a way to
They'll
have its own
have their
keynote.
own event. They'll probably push an event a little bit forward.
Yeah,
Right.
I'd place bets that the vast majority of
And
these companies that are in safe nations will end up having their own press conferences soonish. Sony, I don't see Sony making a big impact in the cell phone market this year, although the
They've
Z2.
really like been out of the cell phone market basically for a long time. They
Well,
kind of
all
had a
right.
big
So
kicker in a while.
in the U.S., that's a bit. They're not big players, but in Japan, the Z2 was pretty popular as far as I've heard. Sony still has a market. It's just not in the West. Nokia, I'm really looking forward to what they're going to do this year.
I hope they do well because I had stocks in them, and then one day in October 24th, right after my birthday, the stock went from $5 to $3 in one day.
Wait, what's the stock price right now?
Oh my god, it's probably back to 5 or something.
If it's within the $5 range, if it's no more than a penny stock, then it might be worthwhile to invest in.
The thing is that it's $4 right now. The thing
so
was, it
much
had a
stock.
really good dividend. That's why I got it. All right.
Yeah.
So I heard a lot of good stuff coming out from Nokia, so I decided to buy it. All right, and then the day after my birthday, they had bad earnings.
It tanked.
They announced their earnings. They had bad earnings, and they dropped.
I look forward to seeing what Nokia is going to do as a player in the market. And I really hope that they can follow up with last year's phones to have something decent this year. Their phones are nice. They look really nice. They've got good hardware.
They're basically unbreakable.
They're solid milled fucking aluminum. I mean, there's not much. How much more you can get?
This is the shit you get to my brother.
Oh yeah, yes, yeah. So he doesn't go breaking it.
My brother breaks everything.
Jerry, you should give Dustin your desk. You know, that solid steel piece of like.
No, don't worry. He's gonna find a way to put a hole in it.
Jerry,
I'm using it right now, man.
If Jerry didn't tell you, he got a new desk, and it's literally a solid steel frame with a gigantic
I have this solid steel desk frame, and it's like, it has some pretty good wobble to it. But then I went to Home Depot and bought a solid wood. It was like $90, just a door that was unfinished with no holes in it and nothing else on, no drilling, no nothing.
4-inch thick.
I put the huge door on top of the metal frame,
bro.
and it's so heavy that like unless you actually like purposefully knock the whole thing over, like
it's not going anywhere.
It's not going anywhere.
Yeah,
I can give it a good push down on it. I mean, if I can make it wobble, you can probably tell if the camera does a little wobble.
That's the kind of shit that you should give your brother, just like the Nokia.
I mean, like it's a metal frame. It's not a wood frame. So
yep.
What the fuck can I do?
So
Coronavirus is a bitch, bro.
More news with press conferences for phones. Galaxy Unpacked was the other day, and I have to say, I didn't think I wanted to upgrade to the S20. I didn't think it would have been worth it to upgrade to the 20 series of phones. I might be biting my tongue now. I should have waited to get on that Note 10. I love the Note 10. Don't get me wrong, but I can't. I'm not losing much with the upgrade. I mean, it was a fantastic show. All the devices they dropped are 10 out of 10 in my book. The Z Flip is a fantastic concept, and I can't wait to see how.
That's what I thought they should have. All right, so the Z Flip is basically what I thought they should have done with the Fold. The Z Flip in my mind should have been the Fold.
So I think Samsung's strategy with their folding phones or or even technically the flip phone in this case, I think it's right. It fits. So having a flip phone and then having a phone that can go into tablet orientation, they're two different ideas for the same concept, and I think having both available.
I feel like they should have played it safe first with this. All right.
No, I think they made the right decision going with the bigger of the two first.
I don't.
The Fold was I feel like the Fold was specifically oriented at people that are like super power users or that run businesses, because the amount of things you can do on the Fold first and the price of the Fold are kind of like what I would see like a business owner using it, someone that wants to get in touch with all of their employees, manage their inventory and whatnot all on one device at one time. The flip, the way I see the flip is it's like it's the same way I see the Motorola Razr. It's that nostalgia feeling. I looked at that and I see I remember having a phone like that when I was 7 or 8.
Something you're used to, but a new twist
Yeah.
on it.
I feel like this. I think this is the perfect time to release the flip. The fold came out
The fold
also at the right time.
The fold, I feel like they should have done this first because this is safer and the hinges. They would have more time to work on that hinge mechanism. I feel like as soon as they had the technology to make the fold, they did it. All right, and they didn't let it mature, and they just threw something together.
Well, but like,
all right,
it's proof of concept, and in fact, the fold sold well enough for them to rightfully release the flip as a follow-up.
I feel like this should have been first though, because it would have been the safer bet. There would have been less of there's less screen here too.
The problem though is that the fold was, for all intents and purposes, a prototype device, and that's why it got recalled, and that's why they redeveloped the hinge, that's why they redeveloped the screen. It's fantastic that this came out now, because it's actually glass. It's a proprietary blend glass that's a little bit more resistant than the plastic screen on the fold. The hinge, it's an even better hinge mechanism than what the fold had, supposedly. It's got an outside small screen. It's got a lot more intricacies on this than the fold had. And the fold was special for the fact that it could open up to like an 8-inch fucking tablet. This is special because it's literally special. It's got prototype hardware that isn't in anything else that Samsung produces right now. Or I guess finalized hardware that isn't in anything else right now. It's fantastic in its own right. It starts at like $1,400. I'd place bets that if you're trading up from like a Note 10 Plus, that the cost of that device will end up being like $700. Plus, Samsung is giving that $200 credit for accessories and packages if you buy the phone. So you're gonna get like a $1,500 or a $1,600 value at $700, give or take. I think this is the perfect time for that fold. I think it's the refined version that came out when it needed to. It's gonna boost sales and it's gonna make the form factor better.
Because this is something I actually expect the phone to be like. It's just like it's like a freaking modern day Game Boy Advance, but with the screen going all the way through.
Yeah,
the Game Boy Advance was my shit.
I don't get me wrong. I like this phone more than I like the Fold.
Right.
I think I would want
because this is the more reasonable phone. It's still wildly expensive.
Who
for a folding phone right
now? Who out of the three of us is going to be the most reasonable when it comes to buying phones?
You. Not you.
Exactly.
You buy a phone. You've had this phone for 6 months.
I've had my Note 10 since September when it launched. So October, November, December, January, February, and the S20 Ultra comes out March 6th, and the pre-order starts the 21st. Yeah, I know. I'm not. I don't know if I'm gonna pull the trigger on it yet. I want it.
I've got a lot of decisions to make before that, so that,
it's such a sizable upgrade over what I've got currently. I mean, I read the spec list.
Does it really matter though at the moment?
It's okay.
I'm gonna have this phone for another probably 2 to 3 years, and I'm fine. All right, it's not gonna
get the Note 10
me.
Plus.
Okay.
Note 10 Plus. I understand that there's a lot of stuff going on this, but even to spend $700 for a marginal display increase,
it's massively bigger battery though.
It's not massively bigger, especially when I've got a 10,000
You charge your battery every night anyways, and your battery gets you through most of the day anyways.
Who charges their phones at night?
Everyone.
I fall asleep with my phone sometimes. I don't charge it usually.
In the time I've had either of the Samsung Galaxy phones that I had in the last year, I've never had an issue where my battery died before I wanted it to.
Yeah.
I've had it die when I'm at Disney, but only when I'm at Disney because I'm playing Pokemon
Go.
Go.
Had it die.
I never had my phone die on me before either.
I
you know what?
I
have my wireless charger. I just plop it right down there at night, and I go to bed.
You guys are talking over each other. It's not no one can hear you when you both talk at the same time. All I'm gonna say is that I would consider buying the flip. I'm considering pulling the trigger on that S20 Ultra, and here's why. I think what's important to make the I think it's important to make the distinction now. 5G will continually becoming more available. There's no premium cost for all intents and purposes on the S20 line versus previous generations because the technology for 5G is a lot more available now. For reference, the base prices of each model we're going $999 for the S20 5G base model. S20 plus 5G base model is $1,199. S20 Ultra 5G is $1,399. That's about I think it's about $100 to $150 more expensive than the S10 launches from the S10e, the S10, and the S10 Plus. So, and then the S10 5G though was like a $1,500 phone. And the Note 10 Plus 5G was all like a $1,600 phone. The fact that the technology is available now, and the networks are becoming more prevalent, you can use it more often in city settings, kind of makes the upgrade a little bit more reasonable, because you're not spending any more than you would have spent on an upgrade anyway. You know, in theory. And as 5G becomes more widespread, it becomes more worthwhile. It's a more worthwhile have.
Where are the speed increases for 5G?
What happened?
Where are the speed increases for 5G over LTE?
A lot. Like I've never used 5G, so I don't know what I don't have any experience with it. But my understanding is that it is like a 30 or a 40% increase. I think Linus did a video in Vancouver or New York City or something, or maybe it was Brooklyn, some big city with a lot of 5G availability, and he was getting something like 850 down and like 300 or 400 up compared to 4G, where he was getting like 300 down and like 150 up.
See,
it is a sizable increase.
Okay, but is there like range and like stability benefits? Because that's more important right now, because
I agree.
If we were basically 200 megabits down and 100 megabits up, we are not bottlenecking a network at all. All right. The thing is, you can go out of a cell tower so easily now, though.
So the thing about 5G is
that congestion in the traffic of the area.
Yeah, so the thing about 5G is that if line of sight between you and and I guess I could call it the dish, the 5G dish, or the tower, whatever the signal repeater and or the method of sending out the signal. If you're not within line of sight of it, then you're not gonna get 5G if you're not within line of sight. But what's important to note is that in city settings, 5G modems are going up practically on every single light post, and
they're basically just making 5G Wi-Fi.
Yeah, pretty much. I can imagine. Well, on that note, they're making 5G Wi-Fi. It's a faster signal. But it's shorter. So having more towers.
Wi-Fi has already been a thing.
No, yeah. That's what I'm comparing it to.
He's saying
Wi-Fi.
5G networking is similar to like Wi-Fi in terms of its dispersal, and part of that is because that the signal band for 5G is
lower.
It's
higher. I know it's higher. Yeah, it's a higher frequency.
It's a lot higher. It's a lot higher, and it can be obstructed very easily. So,
yeah, that's the problem.
Yep.
So.
I don't know if it's necessarily a problem in city settings and in dense urban and rural settings, like where there's lots of light posts, lots of towers, lots of houses.
You have to put one on every light post and every house.
And the range of it's not good. So
and then if you put it on the house, you got to put it on the inside at like the main room.
But
otherwise you're not going to get any.
And here's here's the but with that. As 5G, as the dishes, the towers, as all of that becomes more available, cost goes down. And yet, for the first year or two of a 5G city, you might end up spending maybe $10 more for a 5G plan. But it'll eventually stabilize if that means the price goes down or the price flatlines and doesn't increase or
You're gonna
decrease
keep
any more than that.
continually paying for innovation.
Well,
what
that's
it
how
is.
that's how it works. Medicine's the same
I,
way.
I know, but the issue is that they're setting up all this 5G stuff. What about what comes next?
Well, all right. Here's the thing,
Are
though.
we gonna have to put a 6G networking thing on every blade of grass just to be able to get signal?
Well, the development from
What are we gonna do?
the development from 3G to 4G what took like 4 years. Then 4G to 4G LTE took like another 4 years. And now we're on then we went to quote unquote 4E, which is really no major increase in quality. It's just I think that was just a stability increase. And now we're on
5GE was
5G.
just an increase in bandwidth.
Yeah.
So there's less bandwidth issues now.
Yeah, so it was more stable connection for 4G LTE. Now we're on 5G, and 5G and real 5G and 5G and real 5G and 5GE are not the same thing. Obviously, 5GE is
just LTE.
Yeah, it's just as more stable LTE. But real 5G took a while, like a long time to get to where we're at, and it's not like they haven't been working on it. But what I made a point of saying before was like, there's no sizable price increase between the 20 series and the 10 series. It's the marginal price increase that you see with every generation. So as it stands, the modems, the receivers for 5G on phones, the signal antenna aren't any more expensive now than buying a phone with 4G LTE or 5GE antennas or 5E antennas on board. There's no sizable price increase. It's $999, $1,199, and $1,399. The launch prices for the 10 series were like what, $899, $1,099, and $1,299, something like that. There's no serious price increases between this generation and last one that isn't out of the ordinary for a generational increase in inflation. I mean, so it's a commodity that is more available at no more of a price than the previous generation would have been had it came out this year, because the price will just continue to go up, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
As the technology becomes more sophisticated and the R&D becomes more intense, its cost will go up. It's undeniable.
And they also have
where will you be when
they also have new buds. Do these buds come with the phone, or are they separate?
So
the Galaxy Bud Plus.
If you pre-order or if you reserve or pre-order any of the Z Flip or S20 lineup phones, Samsung gives you a $200 credit. And as part of that $200 credit, so that's what I said before. So if I trade in my Note 10 Plus, I get $700 off the purchase of my next phone. I reserved an S20 Ultra and the base model S20 Ultra. It's the 120 gigabyte storage, 12 gigabyte RAM. That's the only real difference between it and the next models up, is that less storage, 4 gigabytes less RAM. Doesn't matter. You get $700 off the purchase of the phone, and if you pre-order or reserve, you get a $200 credit. And that $200 credit you can use to buy accessories or a care package with the phone, quote unquote care package. The care package could be either a charging kit, which gives you the 45 watt hour fast charger, the 25 watt hour fast charging 10,000 milliamp hour battery, and I think and there's one or two other things that you should come with it, like a car charger with 45 watt hour fast charging. You should get the audio package, which is the Galaxy Buds Plus, and I think that's it, because they're $150 headphones. So that leaves you with $50. You should get like a protection package, which comes with one case and some other things. So they come up with care packages, or you could choose what you want to get individually. That could be the Galaxy Buds plus 2 cases plus a charger. You just choose based on how much money you get. So in reality, you're getting $700, $1,600 deal. But no, they do not specifically come with the phone unless you choose the care package that includes it. which isn't bad.
I mean, know it's not. Because I'm comparing this right now because they're pulling up the AirPods comparison, and I gotta agree with them on that. All right. Other than price, what do they do over? What are they better than the AirPods?
So first and foremost, we're gonna start with the basic Galaxy, like the actually. We're gonna go even further than that.
It's an obvious generational increase to more drivers and larger drivers.
Hold on. We're gonna start from the top. I have the original. I have not. This is the 2018 variant. But the only difference between the 2018 variant and the 2017 variant of the Gear Icon X is, first and foremost, in the case. This case doesn't open up with on a pry. I actually have to push a button. The first Gear Icons that came out in 2017, which were before the AirPods, by the way. The Samsung dropped their true wireless buds before Apple did. For anyone that claims Samsung copied them, fuck you. It's a lie. Obvious battery life increase. The original Gear Icons were 3.5 to 5 hours, depending on your usage. They had a heart rate sensor, a fitness trainer, and a couple other things on board. The 2018 model, which is the one that I got first, had a larger battery built in the case, because look at the thickness of this case compared to this thing. Like, it's fucking, this is like a pill compared to like a tablet. And, bigger batteries, better audio drivers. Samsung bought AKG around the time that they were developing their first Gear Icons. So the Gear Icon X's and the 2018 model didn't have AKG audio drivers, which is what came out with the buds in 2019, early 2019, were the tuned by AKG buds. Obviously, again, battery increase. Wireless charging was on board for these. You didn't have to buy a separate case in order to wirelessly charge them. USB-C was standard across the board for the Icons for a while, so that's nothing new. It really comes down to software, battery life improvements, and a smaller case. Like, I can fit these in my pocket comfortably and not have a fucking bulge. It doesn't look like I'm hard every time someone. But no, in all seriousness, though, like, it's generational increase, predictable generational increase. The new ones, the Bud Pluses, have a beefier case again. I believe the case is slightly larger. It's a little bit more robust. And it's got a bigger battery in the case, so you get 11 hours of charge in the case if you fully charge your buds from 0, and the buds also have 11 hours on them, so you get effectively 22 hours of airtime with the buds, with the new buds. Also, it's got the extra driver, so it's got a tweeter. I think it's a tweeter now. It's the new small driver, not a new large one, and a retuned large driver, I think. Regardless, it's a new driver. Their old drivers have been retuned. I think it's a worth it upgrade for anyone looking to go from either the 2019 buds or even like the 2018 Icon X's. And if you're buying the S20 Ultra, you practically get the buds free anyway, or the S20 in general, they're practically free anyway. So what's the point?
Because it's like saying, like, yeah, it's like the AirPods to the AirPods Pro is a worthwhile upgrade, but should you really? Is there really? If you're going from the
Galaxy Bud 2019 to the Bud Plus 2020, I'd say maybe. I want them because of the better drivers. I don't see them doing, because I don't see them competing with the AirPods Pros because they don't have the noise canceling that people want in that in those headphones. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say for anyone that actually hasn't used these, they probably shouldn't say much because I literally, it's like I'm deaf when I have these.
I know, same. I have no AirPods. All right.
I almost can't hear a thing unless someone's yelling or right next to me.
I know, but that's the thing.
And it's also got the It's out the audio.
I just want to see how they stack up, because the only thing really that's really like the difference between them, like for me, is just ecosystem and price.
Yeah, I would say those are pretty viable issues. So it's $150. In fact, it's 149. It's probably gonna be 149.99 or 149.00. It's probably gonna be a
Same
flat.
price as a regular buds.
Yeah, the old buds will clearly drop in price. They're not gonna keep the original Galaxy Bud 2019 at the same price as their new product. The Galaxy Bud 2019s will probably drop to about $100. It's what happened with the Gear Icon X's when the buds dropped. So, yeah, if you don't have the buds, buying the old model for cheaper might be a smart idea.
That's basically what. This is basically just what it means. This just means
if you want the new audio drivers, though, the better battery life and the new and I think the power share on the new models, it charges faster. I think the current wireless charging model for the
how much do they charge much faster? Because here's the thing.
I think it's like 5 watt-hours for the current buds, and I think it goes up to like 10 for the new ones.
Because here's the thing with most wireless headphones.
Marginal.
I've tried a good amount of wireless headphones. Okay, they're all very similar. All right, even generational and like. I've had the first AirPods. They sound good. The new ones are a little better, but you're not going to really notice them that much. And
I'm going to say...
I could probably figure it's the same thing.
I'm going to say with the new buds, you might actually hear a sizable difference in sound. AKG, for anyone that doesn't have AKG headphones, I've had a pair of wired earbuds from them. I have over-ear. AKG has been a pretty prevalent brand around me for a while. Like I've used them for a pretty decent amount of time. Their audio profile is a very quick, very tweety. Not a lot of bass unless you're buying reference or studio quality headsets, which are $500 or more. So for people that are on a budget, those studio headsets are not for them. But recently they've been getting a bit warmer on the audio, like a little bit more bass, some more punch. It's a little bit more boomy, but the tweetiness and the responsiveness for the audio is still there. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what kind of tuning or what kind of drivers the new buds are going to have, because every generation, going from the Gear Icons to the Icon X's to the buds, now to the Bud Pluses, have had I want to say sizable audio difference. And I'm really hoping that with the new driver and the retuned drivers that the Bud Pluses trying to mute that punchiness that a lot of wireless buds or even buds in general seem to miss.
They're a new pair of wireless headphones, in my opinion. It's the same reaction I had when they released AirPod Pro. I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. They had noise canceling. Move on.
Yeah, the AirPod Pro had what? Active noise canceling and wireless charging. That was really the only major difference.
Well, no, the wireless charging is done
through the case.
Yeah, right? So the AirPod, that's like the second gen AirPods. All right, second gen AirPods had like a small like audio meh. It was noticeable, but not by much. They had a better battery life, and they threw on an optional wireless charging case for an extra like what, $50.
Yeah, I'm gonna go there though. I've listened to what sound comes out sound comes out like on the buds, on the AirPods, and I generally don't like it. I think audio quality wise. I think audio quality wise.
And I've had a bunch of headphones. I've tried Sony wireless headphones.
I love
earphones.
Sony's.
Like my mom had some. All right, but here's the thing. All right, for me, most of the time, audio quality. Most headphones. If you're buying any sort of decent pair of headphones now, the differences are minor.
I'm not taking that away from the AirPods. I'm just saying that overall, here's the big thing for me.
Here's the big thing for me though. It's comfort.
All right.
The comfort and easy use.
Right?
Those are my things because I've tried those like the ones that go in your ear. All right.
And
I don't like. This is me personally.
You don't like the silicone tip going into your ear?
No, I don't. All right.
All right. So
that's why I also like. That's why when I saw the AirPod Pro, I'm like, oh great. All right. I don't like them.
I'd be
Alright.
more inclined to buy the AirPod Pro because of the silicone tip that
I'm
that
not.
an ear canal
I
piece
actually do
versus
like the form factor of like the normal like just put them in your ear. They don't have the silicone
Really?
tip because it does because my ears for some reason I don't like the vacuum seal they make.
I like it. That's
I
what
don't.
provides the sound isolation. Is
I don't.
That
All right,
piece.
because it messes with me. All right,
All
it
right.
messes with my ears and everything.
Okay.
Alright? So-
I understand that there are people that have issues with those
So,
buds, whether it because
That's a
ear
big
canals
thing
or
for
what.
me. It's just
Okay.
the comfort of those. All right, that's why you don't see me. I'll wear them if I have them, but if I have the choice, all right, I'll choose the comfort. I would choose the comfort over the marginal increase in audio quality any day of the freaking week.
All right.
All right,
I
because
get that.
most of these earbuds, they might sound different slightly, but at the end of the day, they're still earbuds you go around, you listen to music with, and you watch your video with. They're not something you use in a studio environment.
No, of course not.
All right.
But
So
what I'm
my
saying
thing
is,
with
like,
these is that it's better for comfort and ease of use than just creating leaps in audio quality.
Yep. I
Alright.
get that. All I'm saying is that I feel like Apple's sound profile is less responsive and less hype. I almost want to call it hypey. Like AKG's audio tuning is very very quick, very very like tweety, very very on point really. And I feel like Apple's audio tends to be a little bit more relaxed, maybe a little muddled. The sounds don't
A
always.
little bit more bassy
Maybe I don't want to call
because
it
they
bassy,
do have beats, and Beats really likes the bass.
Beats audio drivers have been absolute shit for a long time. Like I almost when I had the option of buying a pair of Beats, I pretty much said fuck you, I'm buying the low end Sonys. Like I don't like Beats in Beats audio profile in general. I just it's a personal preference. I know that everyone likes different companies.
I like a more flat sound so I can hear everything. All right. So
okay.
I'm
But
fine.
like with a good headset, you shouldn't have to worry about flat sound to hear everything. You know, you should be able to hear
I know.
everything because they're good headsets.
I
And
know.
that's where I feel like Beats and their audio drivers and software have fallen short of the competition in a lot of ways. You know, because Dr. Dre put his name on it, it became an expensive brand. When in reality, I'm gonna go there. They're probably no more worth no more than your average like Skull Candies in terms of audio quality.
Nah, I'll say the difference there. Skull candies are
Well, so I'm
definitely worse.
I'm definitely exaggerating.
I know you're exaggerating, but still.
But like for me, they feel like they're worth no more than like your average Skull Candy when there are other brands out there.
Oh no, they're
like
definitely
Sony,
overpriced. They're
AKG,
definitely
and
overpriced.
Bose.
I know that.
I mean, Audio Technica too. Fuck, Audio Technica is fantastic.
All right,
But
but they're
we're
also
totally,
overpriced as shit.
We're totally off the point though. You know, it was.
Yeah.
Say
We're talking
something
about
else,
we
guys.
got
So I guess our next topic for the night will be Huawei, and backdoor access. Yeah. I'm pretty sure one of our podcasts, one of our tech news our tech talks, and since we started doing this was about Huawei and Britain and Huawei being a concern for British
and
United
Windows
Kingdom.
backdoors.
No, backdoors, yeah. And
Just backdoors in general, bro.
apparently through a study.
Oh my god, I love this shit, bro. I love and hate it.
Yeah,
at the
you
same fucking time.
can't come up with this shit. So
You can't write this shit, bro.
So from the Wall Street Journal reported on Tuesday, citing U.S. officials that that Huawei has backdoor access around the world for mobile networks. It's not just networks that they've established in places like Germany and the UK. It's everywhere. It's absolutely fucking everywhere.
This is why we should stop doing business.
It says
bro.
the backdoors. Citing from the article,
Dumb shit.
it says the backdoors were inserted for law enforcement use into carrier equipment like base stations, antennas, and switching gear. This comes from the Wall Street Journal, with U.S. officials reportedly alleging that they were designed to be accessible by Huawei. That's a problem if you're designing a backdoor to be accessible for government and law
Huawei
enforcement
is
officials,
basically like half run by the Chinese government.
they are almost entirely run by the Chinese government.
That's why I
It's
said
not
basically
halfway.
half.
It's not halfway. It's more like 7/8.
This is
It's more like 7/8.
absolute problem.
It's
Alright? And then people got mad when the US banned Huawei.
so
Alright? Do you see this shit?
So this is pretty interesting, and I remember reading this a while back about Chinese nation building. So China and a lot of Chinese companies have a habit of going into underdeveloped nations and promising cheap and efficient construction of infrastructure for a low cost. But that low cost is a high cost spread out over a long period of time. And
It's the long game.
most poor nations default on that. Like, default. The loans are gone. So what China does is they come back in and take full ownership of the infrastructure and the construction that they've done. Huawei's practice is very similar, except they go to nations with a lot of money and promise them cheap, efficient networks. And this comes from a national security advisor, Robert O'Brien, called less expensive Chinese solutions too tempting of a gift to turn down. So what happens is countries like the UK, Germany, and a lot of the European Union specifically, because here in the United States, even though we do have Huawei backdoors, Verizon and AT&T kind of designed for the most part a lot of it, and that doesn't discredit T-Mobile or Sprint for whatever they've done. But Huawei comes in, does their thing, and leaves backdoors. But they don't take ownership, because obviously the nations that they're providing construction in
can pay for it.
Afford this, yeah. But the problem is it's still Chinese government tactic. It is the exact same tactic that they use everywhere else.
This is my problem right now. Also,
fuck, China owns like ports all over Spain because Spain couldn't afford to pay China back for those ports. That's how bad it is. Spain, one of formerly the richest countries in the world, formerly for obvious reasons because they've fallen pretty far in the last few centuries. But regardless, they have ports that are owned by foreign interests because they couldn't afford to pay for them.
Bro,
the fact that this isn't realized, the fact that companies and governments don't realize that this is the same tactic China uses on less well-off nations, except in this case it's for cellular networking that everyone uses. It's not like Little Johnny's on his own separate cell network. No, you're on the same network as Little Johnny and Huawei now.
Yeah.
Because you let Huawei build in your fucking country.
Darn it, Little Johnny.
Bro. This is why we need to ban Huawei, bro.
It's fucking terrible.
Dude, when I heard when we originally banned Huawei from doing business, I was happy. Because you know why? Because they're assholes like this.
I'm gonna try and get refocus. There we go. Cool. But apparently, O'Brien. So, to finish up what O'Brien said. O'Brien calling the less expensive Chinese solutions too tempting of a gift to turn down for some countries, according to CNN. But that they come with a price of the Chinese company having access to the information on the network. Huawei, of course, denies these reports, saying it's U.S. government that's been covertly accessing telecom networks worldwide, spying on other countries. Look, I'm pretty sure everyone that lives in the U.S., unless you're an ignorant bastard, knows
there's an FBI man watching.
CIA and FBI are watching us.
Hi there, Mr. FBI man.
Especially because the Patriot Act was pretty much just reestablished, even though it got, supposedly taken down. Yeah, it's back. Duh.
It's why I'm doing a freaking VPN server, so I don't have to deal with half the shit. But
You're not wrong, but this is cellular networking. Regardless, the fact that if you live in the U.S. and don't realize that the NSA, FBI, CIA, and any other secret government agencies that have access to telecom networks, you're stupid because duh.
But here's the thing: there's a difference between the U.S. doing it than China doing it.
Well, Yeah, China. The problem is that China is known for doing it. Hong Kong is a perfect fucking example of China spying on its people.
Coronavirus is also a
Power.
very good example. All right.
We'll
They-
get to that later.
No, real quick. So the doctor who warned everyone about the coronavirus.
Cough, cough.
When-
He's dead.
Yeah, he's dead now, sadly. Rest in peace, bro. But
Poor guy.
he went online and he's like, "This is a problem. You guys need to figure this
He
out."
got shut down by the police. The
Yes,
police
he got.
literally came to
They
his house
found
and
him on.
fucking-
They found that post on the internet. They knocked on his door, and they said, "You better shut the fuck up."
Yeah.
All right, and then now we have coronavirus.
Well, I mean, we would have had coronavirus regardless, but
But
we
it
were
would have
less
been
prepared
more.
for it.
Yeah, we would have been prepared, and it would have been more
Yeah.
contained. All right. But no.
Oh my god.
Fuck China, bro.
It gets even worse. So Huawei continues with their response saying U.S. allegations of Huawei using lawful interception are nothing but a smokescreen. Huawei said in an email statement Wednesday, Huawei has never and will never covertly access telecom networks,
Bullshit.
nor do we have the capability to do so. My ass.
Bullshit.
My
All right.
fucking ass. No.
If a 5-year-old can break into a network, all right, which
Ugh.
can't happen. All right, there, one clever 5-year-old.
God
All right.
damn.
Trained professionals can do this.
It's
All right?
this is some shit, dude.
This is
some
my
real
problem.
shit.
Also, this is my problem with like Windows 2. They also have their back door.
Oh, but
All right.
all right. So I'm not covering for Windows for anything. They have their back doors, but it's supposed to be used for tech representatives for their tech support to be able to come in and help.
Yeah, sure, and also like
I know. I'm not
shit.
covering, I'm not saying what it's for is right or wrong. The fact that it's there is a problem, regardless. It's just amazing. The fact that the fact that anyone would willingly let
If
a
any of y'all have a
company
Huawei
that's
phone,
pretty-
if any of y'all have a Huawei phone,
get the fuck rid of it,
burn
throw
it,
it out.
beat it, asher wash it,
And-
do what Hillary Clinton did to her server.
It's not just Huawei though. There's Xiaomi, there's Honor, there's One, even OnePlus. I know OnePlus is
OnePlus is-
supposedly a British company, but it's if I'm not mistaken, it's a subsidiary of a Chinese company, isn't it? OnePlus.
I have not the slightest clue. I don't.
I'm gonna find out because I don't want to spread information on that one. But OnePlus TechCo All right, so OnePlus technology is from Shenzhen, China.
Fuck me,
Commonly
bro.
referred to as OnePlus, is a Chinese smartphone manufacturer based in Shenzhen and Guangdong. Yeah, or Guangdong. I don't know how to say that, so I'm just gonna
It's
leave it.
Chinese.
Yeah, so it's Huawei is not the only one. I'd be a little bit perturbed with all of the Chinese companies because the government is in direct control of much of those assets. But yeah,
China just decides to throw money at shit and it just decides to buy
but you
everything.
have a populace of like 1.3 billion people practically.
Yeah.
And can steal all their money at any time because socialism. Yeah.
No,
yeah,
no,
they can
no
throw money at
communism.
that shit.
Still.
Socialism. Same spectrum. Fuck, dude. Absolute fuck.
I hate. You can't make this shit up, bro. I laugh at this.
No.
Both
No, you
in
can't make this
pain
shit
and
up.
in like pain and laughter, bro. All right.
It's more pain than laughter.
It is more pain than laughter,
More-
but you hear this shit like fuck again.
Yeah. It's terrible. And again, people just keep letting them in. But
Yeah.
I appreciate everything Boris
They're
Johnson
really
did
good.
for the United Kingdom and Brexit. But his approval of having Huawei set up 5G networking in the United Kingdom was probably the dumbest thing since Spartacus kicking that guy into a pit and then having to fight him up.
Look, he anyone who buys shit from Huawei, all right,
That's
just because
Spartacus.
it's cheap, all right. and it's
Leonidas. I'm
good,
a fucking moron. Leonidas. I called him Spartacus. I'm a fucking retard.
Alright. Just because it's cheap and it's good, alright? There's also a catch.
There's a catch-22 for everything. It's just being smart enough to notice it.
Alright. But still.
Oh, I hate myself. I'm a history major, and I just called Leonidas Spartacus. Can I shoot myself now?
No, you can shoot yourself that because you're a history major.
Kill yourself, JP.
Alright, so who's next? We got the
yeah,
more
more
China
Chinese
shit.
surveillance. Yeah. So everyone knows, like we said previously, that China uses big white towers with cameras to spy on you all over China. Well, supposedly, I mean, everyone already knew that this existed. The coronavirus brings Chinese surveillance state out of the shadows.
Of course, their economy is also hurting because of the coronavirus too.
Yeah, yeah, it's hurting big time.
Yeah.
MSI.
There are like people moving their factories out of China because of this.
The problem is they can't. So here's the thing. China's, I believe China's like a level 4 flight risk right now, which means you can't fly in or out of China unless you are a government official and working with like health agencies across the world.
CDC, basically.
CDC, WHO, various assemblies from other nations that
to
are
deal with this shit. You cannot go to China to begin with. If you're a normal citizen, no, I did. If you're a normal citizen,
you cannot go to China anyway.
If you're a normal citizen, you cannot go there. You are barred.
It's literally impossible. In fact, the UPS, the United States Postal Service, and the UPS and FedEx, all mail agencies globally have stopped shipping to and from China as of like 5 o'clock this afternoon.
Because shit like this happens.
U.S. Easter time, I think.
Right.
Basically,
But now that there's a bunch of sick people, all right, and they need to keep track of them, they're using cameras now.
So
even more than before.
The article comes from Reuters, and it's out of Beijing and Hong Kong. So when the man from Hangzhou returned home from a business trip, the local police got in touch. They had tracked his car by his license plate in nearby Guangzhou, which has had a spat of coronavirus cases despite being far from the epicenter of the outbreak. Stay indoors for 2 weeks, they requested. So essentially, a businessman traveling from one province to another in China was contacted by the police and they told him to stay inside for 2 weeks for the 2 weeks, the 14 days. After 12 days, the man went outside early. And not only it says here, not only did the police contact him, but so did his boss. He had been spotted near Hangzhou's West Lake by a camera with facial recognition technology, and the authorities had alerted this company as a warning. The man said he was a bit shocked by the ability and efficiency of the mass surveillance network, and they can basically trace our movements with AI technology and big data at any time and any place. He asked to not be identified for fear of repercussions because there will be repercussions.
It's China.
And this whole thing, the whole surveillance issue is part of a larger problem going on multinationally, with deep fakes and facial recognition cameras and AI. Part of a concept we had talked about, I think, in our
but this is where it goes where it goes unwatched. Okay.
This is unhinged. It's not just unwatched. This is.
You can't do anything about it. We can't do anything about it either. It's not our country.
This is a complete and total lack of respect and lack of privacy, just lack of common decency for the general populace. And this goes back to an issue we talked about in our first or second stream, where Donald Trump had made an announcement saying that he wanted to create legislation to prevent cameras or facial recognition and regulate AI for street purpose like use. This is like one of the exact reasons why legislation like this was enacted in the European Union. And I
completely agree with it.
Yeah. Although the United Kingdom, just Boris Johnson, allowed for
China to put
big, no, this is more like 1980 on Big Brother. Yeah. Oh well, that's for the United Kingdom's case. I had to make the joke, but like it's just a broadening issue, and it's not going to get any better. To be fair, I'm going to go there with this particular incident. To be fair, I don't believe the Chinese officials are wrong in this particular situation to be tracking people that could be potential carriers of the coronavirus. The 2019 Nova coronavirus. I don't think they're wrong because he was in a hotspot area that had a few known infections. It's just it's just a sign of a series of overarching problems
when coronavirus is over, and this is not going to kill us.
It will be over at some point.
I say within the next 3 months.
No, I'm gonna say it's probably gonna take a year. The biggest thing about the coronavirus, in case you didn't know, the common cold is a type of coronavirus. Viruses cannot be eradicated. No. At least technically, they can be eradicated.
They are literally inserted into your DNA.
Yeah, they can't. They can't be taken. They can, however.
They have to go dormant.
Be removed from the general populace. They can be dormant.
Yes.
So
anyone whose relatives who survived any of the old viruses, all the way like 200 years ago, they're still
have potential immunity. The immunity with the quotations, because they can still catch it. Whether or not they recover from it is a different story. So hypothetically, if you caught a serious case of coronavirus, I think one of the last outbreaks,
and you survived through it.
Yeah, and you lived through it. There's a chance that the symptoms you experience from the Nova coronavirus of 2019 will be less severe than someone that's never lived through it, or someone that's family never lived through it.
That's why vaccines are an important thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Remember those, everyone. That's why it's a thing.
Anyway, but that's and
that's why you feel a little shit after you have a vaccine. I don't want to say
will be less severe, because every strain of virus is different genetically.
It's mutated. That's what
it's happens. Like the flu. It's essentially like the flu. You know, your body builds up an immunity. If you caught flu type A last year and you get flu type B this year, and you have the flu shot and you still attach the flu, the symptoms will be less severe. Or it could be less severe. That obviously changes with physical condition, age, status of your immune system per se. There's a whole army, series of things. I couldn't think of the right word. I'm fucking retarded. It's all right. There's a whole list of things that could affect how you're affected by a virus. And
but still, it's not something you. It's not like Ebola where you can kill it. Right?
I don't think you can kill Ebola.
It's a bacterial infection.
But it's been around for such a long time, and there's so many.
It's a bacterial infection. All right, bacteria are living things, and you can kill it.
Viruses are raw DNA.
Yeah, viruses are raw DNA. Right.
It literally, like you said, it literally injects itself into your genetic code, which is part of what makes it so deadly.
But that's also what makes viruses so interesting for genetic research.
Yeah.
All right. Viruses are not entirely a bad thing. It's how it interacts with your body that makes it bad.
Yeah.
All right. That's how they're able to do gene therapy through viruses.
I look forward to seeing what kind of treatments, new therapies arise from this. I believe I absolutely hate thinking about it, but I think the death toll is going to climb significantly before there's any sort of...
It's in China, dude. It's going to grow significantly. You think they're treating people?
It goes even farther than that. Outside of just China, like the number of misrepresented cases is probably huge. I'd place bets that in China alone, there's probably something like 60 or 70,000 infected, maybe closer to 80. Worldwide, we've had I think it's our 13th or 14th case in the United States. We haven't had any deaths from it yet, but our healthcare is a little bit better here than
we actually give a shit.
China. Yes, but again, that's totally outside of the point.
I know.
I do feel that if it spreads outside of China, I'm talking to like maybe if it spreads to the Middle East, or if it spreads to Africa, that's when we're really going to start having problems.
If it spreads to Africa, we're dead.
If it spreads to India, we're dead.
Dude.
India has a huge population and a very large a very significant minority of it unattended. unaccounted for. It's speculated that India has probably something closer to like 2 billion people right now than the reported 1.4. If it spreads to India, which is significantly less developed than China in the vast majority of its provinces,
It's less developed in general.
the death toll will climb.
Yeah.
And this isn't like doomsday warning. It's the fact that India, for its vast majority of its territory, is more like a third world nation than it is a second or first world nation.
Yep, meaning healthcare and any sort of preventive measures are worse.
The vast majority of China is like second world, but you get to the cities and it's first world. India is in a significantly worse position than China would be to deal with this. And if it spreads to India, it's most assuredly going to be significantly
And
worse.
if it gets to Africa, it's going to start mutating.
Yeah, I'd be terribly concerned about that. Do I think it's going to spread to Africa if it hasn't already? Maybe.
It's probably there.
I'd say I'd put bets that in the United States, maybe, and most of Europe will be fine. I'd be terribly concerned for like second and third world countries.
Like, God forbid it break out in Venezuela right now with no government.
Bye.
Yeah, you're not a country anymore. All right.
Yeah.
You're all dead.
Can anyone say Grand Colombia?
Grand Colombia.
Okay.
I'd be.
I don't know. That's the first thing I heard when I got.
I'd be. I'm sure that the numbers are misrepresented. I'm sure that there's a lot more people.
Oh, there's a lot more people, and there's probably a lot more
infected.
death from it. China's probably trying to cover it up just so it doesn't look as bad. Because
And
China
it'll be
already
like
tried
Mao's
covering it
Great Leap
up.
Forward all over again.
Alright? China's already covered up a bunch of shit on this. Alright?
Yeah.
They're just... Have you heard the article the other day where they're just rounding up people and putting them in, like, buildings?
Quarantine zones.
Basically just waiting for them to die.
The problem is at this moment, alright, so if you're above, like, the age of 40, right? And you're in poor physical and poor mental and poor immune system health, just poor health in general, as a generality, there's a most assured chance that you're not going to come out of it. If you're in your early to mid 20s, maybe late teens, maybe into your like early 30s, like with any virus, think about the swine flu. The swine flu was very deadly to a select population in the United States above the age of 45 and below the age of 15. If you were anywhere in between 15 and 45, though, you were most assuredly, regardless of whether you did or didn't catch it, going to survive because your overall condition is better than anyone outside of those age ranges. I would like after this is all said and done to see what the statistics are for death, like what age groups suffered the most at the hands of the coronavirus. And I'd really like to see, for that matter, any sort of like new genetic research that comes out of it.
Oh, there's gonna be a bunch of it because this thing delays itself. The thing about this virus is that it delays itself.
Well, that's why in the article it talks about they told the man to wait 14 days indoors.
Yeah. That's why, because it delays itself. You become infectious right away as soon as you get it, but symptoms don't appear until 2 weeks after.
Well, all right. So it's interesting to point out, though, that a lot of people that have tested positive for the virus, especially like on the Diamond Princess, like that cruise ship that's docked at Japan right now, a lot of them haven't started showing symptoms, but a lot of them are carriers for the virus. So it'll be interesting to see whether or not
it determines whether if you're a carrier or you're actually
infected.
Yeah.
I would like to see the numbers outside of just death tolls. I'd like to see the number of people potentially immune to it, whether it be because of their natural condition, or it be because they've been previously exposed to coronavirus, a serious one, or because just fuck, they could be taking medication. Or they could be in an environment where it doesn't intubate. I would love to see the numbers for it. I can't
Wait,
wait.
isn't this virus very susceptible to heat?
I don't know.
More than others? Because if you burn something long enough, it will die. Right? But
unless you're Archaea. Unless it's an Archaea or something similar.
Right.
There's a certain classification of virus and bacteria that are.
But this thing we do know is susceptible to heat.
Specific.
It has a general weakness to heat. So if it gets, maybe that's probably why we haven't heard anything in Africa right now.
Anything like within like 20
or the Middle East, yeah. Look, basically, if you're in a super hot region of the world, maybe that's why we haven't seen it anywhere. Yeah,
well,
there.
That doesn't say much because there are still people in the United States that are getting it. There's portions of the United States that regularly.
They're mostly up north. There was like a case in Washington, not D.C., Washington, very up north.
Well, only time will tell. But I'm like I said, I'm really looking forward to seeing those numbers, even though it sounds really bad, and I know it sounds terrible because it.
But that's
it almost
that's
makes
why
me sound like a
that's why
sociopath.
you're watching this guy, all right? Do I think I can understand sort of like right now because of like how big the health crisis is,
mm-hmm.
All right? But if this continues after, this is a problem.
Yeah.
All right, but since they're using it right now. Alright, and they're getting great results from it, to be dead honest. They knew where exactly this guy was at all times of the day. Alright? Yeah. And he didn't have anything on him. As far as we know, we don't even know if he had anything on him tracking him. Like a phone.
Well...
All we know is that it was cameras.
Phones definitely...
The phone probably does help.
As bad as it sounds, it's going to be great data, regardless, from the surveillance system, even though it shouldn't exist... Because keeping track of your populace like that is very, very totalitarian socialist. It'll be great data once it's all said and done, if it gets published, because China.
It ain't gonna be published, it's China.
I guess we're gonna continue with the health news, David. I'm gonna swap your topic and and mine. The one that's.
Oh, the cure for blindness?
Yeah, we're gonna go Jerry's first though. So
Jerry, it's your time to shine. Wake up.
Outside of just in more medicine news, apparently a study recently published or a review from the FDA says there's no evidence whatsoever that cell phones give you cancer. So, Jerry, what do you have to say about this?
They only give you cancer if you're watching Fortnite videos.
So let's go over the actual implications and how they did this study. So they reviewed 125 experiments carried out on animals and 75 experiments on humans between 2008 and 2019. In summary, the FDA said that there's no consistent pattern to link radiofrequency radiation, or RFR, as we know it, to tumors or cancer.
All right.
It's basically
the real issue with these studies and the review of this whole thing goes into the overarching problem with the animal studies is that the review is that they don't mimic how humans actually use their phones. The animal studies often douse a rat's entire body in radiation at levels that are far higher than what humans are normally exposed to when we use cell phones. The human studies were also flawed, relying only on questionnaires from family members or observational data. So, in other words, what they're saying is take all this with a grain of salt. Even if they say it's not going to harm you, there's no way for us to definitively know as it stands right now. But as far as we understand, there's not a lot of damage that could be done, because even with all the crazy dousing and at crazy high levels, I mean, they're still saying that there's probably nothing that you got to worry about. So,
well,
I wouldn't worry about it that much.
Do you know what the acceptable dose of radiation that a human can take in per a day is?
Mm-hmm. It's pretty big considering how much because technically we were supposed to be outside all the time.
Your body is really capable of getting rid of radiation and I'll explain why after Jerry does his thing.
So listen. So as far as this article says, it says humans can safely be exposed to radiation between 300 kilohertz and 100 gigahertz.
Yep.
So, and 5G currently spans between the range of 25.250 gigahertz and less than 100 gigahertz.
So I have to. We're gonna go. I'm gonna do a quick Google search for you, and I'll pass the information on when I get it, because I don't know the number off the top of my head. But the average levels of radiation in a city, are a lot higher than in a town, where we live. We're essentially in a small town, and a perfect and so. All right, what's the most radio? No, that's not the right thing I'm looking for. So, I think it's millisieverts. Radiation levels typically per year from a city are anywhere between 1.5 to 3.5 millisievert. But can be more than 50 millisievert. Your body, I remember hearing about this once, and I don't know the specifics for it, so I'm not gonna say I'm any sort of an expert. But your body is more than capable of filtering that. Your body can take up to like 30 or 40 times that before there's any sort of problems, and that includes that number includes carrying cell phones and all that other stuff, because the amount of radiation put off by your cell phones absolutely marginal. And furthermore, your body, the way your body filters out that radiation and gets rid of it. Andrew, who obviously everyone here knows in our chat, but a friend of ours, if in case he's watching this, Andrew, I'm using you for my reference here, about radiation. Apparently, in the early days of nuclear reactors and radiation studies, they used alcohol as a way to assist getting radiation levels out, because radiation is a physical thing, right?
Yeah.
Poisoning, dead cells, irradiated cells. And the way to get rid of them is to flush them from your system. And how do you flush them from your system? You drink a lot of alcohol or water, and you piss it all out. So your ability to filter bad stuff out, your body's ability to do that, is a lot better than people seem to realize, unless you're compromised in any way, shape, or form.
You really only don't see like deadly doses of radiation unless you're actually near a nuclear reactor.
And that was something that was really, to prove that point, look at Japan after the Fukushima Daiichi reactor, detonation. It's people that were the way people had to move and leave towns and all that to avoid the deadly doses of radiation, and the cleanup effort following it.
And also look at Chernobyl. All right, now while the actual reactor area,
one of the worst,
all right, is devastating with the amount of nuclear radiation there is ridiculous, even to this day. All right.
Yep, Japan has done a fantastic job at getting rid of that radiation and creating recreating places to live.
But Chernobyl, most of the zone around Chernobyl, even within the mile of the reactor, is pretty damn safe.
So real quick, the history's worst reactor accidents, this gives you a general idea. Chernobyl. Another one is in the Soviet Union is I can't pronounce this. It's Kishtim. 3 Mile Island. If you live in the U.S. and don't know about 3 Mile Island, brush up on it. It's not pleasant. There's a Windscale in Britain. Those are the 4 that are coming up. I know Fukushima was pretty rough too. I don't know if it's included.
But it really just didn't help that they had a nuclear reactor blow up.
Tokamura. Forgot about Tokamura. There's quite a few, but even if you live on the outskirts of that, like super far on the outskirts, like a perfect example is in certain areas of Chernobyl now you don't need a suit, hazmat.
No. A majority
There's
actually you
certain
don't need it.
Yeah.
And
there's
you think
still
wildlife...
some serious radiation there. We're talking enough that the Geiger counter goes off in some places.
Yeah, and here's the thing. There's a lot of wildlife there. And it's not even... The wildlife there is not even, like, mutated in a sense.
It's recovering.
If anything, it's recovering really fast. All right?
Yep. The Earth and the human body, nature in general, is really good at filtering out. Is really good at filtering this shit out. So any concerns about getting cancer, like for men, getting testicular cancer because you keep your phone in your pocket, that shit's not gonna happen.
No. It's more likely. It's more likely to happen through natural mutation than through radiation.
Yeah, especially from your cell phone. Your cell phone doesn't even put out near enough the radiation for that to be.
You get more radiation from standing in front of a microwave.
Yeah. To a degree, yeah. If you have an older microwave that's relatively unshielded, yeah.
Yeah. So this
it's
entire
just nice
thing...
that there's. It's just nice that there's finally an attempt to get some concrete studies into the effects of radiation from cell phones.
But
even though it's marginal at best.
We all knew this already, but it's like the anti-vax shit, okay?
Yeah, it's like how the flu shot gives you autism.
People need to think with their brain once in a while, bro.
Or, if they don't want to think with their brain, they can just lose it.
I mean, please?
Put them in Chernobyl.
I mean, put them by the elephant's foot, dude. Just let them have it. You can die within the hour.
Wow. Just the elephant's foot.
You know what the elephant foot is, right?
Dude. Yeah, I know what it is. It's the most radio-fucking-tastic thing in the world. It's extremely dangerous, and
that's
can't even
basically why Chernobyl is really
they have
dangerous.
To use a special camera around like 3 corners just to get a glimpse of it.
Yep.
You can only see in the presence of the thing for an hour before you have, like, you take in too much radiation, you die.
Yep.
Like the first picture ever taken of the thing, right after the explosion, basically, like a month after. The guy who took the picture died 5 hours later.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. So I guess we're gonna finish up our last topic on tech and health tonight. This one's is a quote unquote cure for the blind. This comes from MIT, the MIT Tech Review. So. Researchers have successfully bypassed the eyes with a brain implant that allows quote-unquote rudimentary vision. So before
I think I remember.
we get into this,
real quick, can I put in something before this?
Sure.
A few years ago, we were in school when I was still in high school, and we had this documentary.
We're gonna talk about the Google contact lens.
No. It's completely different. All right, it's completely. This had nothing to do with it. There was a lady. She went very blind early in her life. All right. I think she was like a little kid. So she's been blind most of her life. She went into a experimental study where she would have like metal plates with some electrodes in them put in between the slices in her brain around the area where people the scientists thought vision would be calculated in. Alright? After recovery and after a few months when they finalized the hardware and everything, because she had a port on the back of her head. Alright? Like, it wasn't a big thing, it was like meh. Alright? They created glasses with a small, like, little infrared camera that would take a snapshot every few seconds. And it was like a little wire plugged into, like, the back of her head. They took her outside, and she was... Now, it wasn't perfect, it wasn't even, like, vision, really. But she would see flashes of where stuff would be. So, like, for example, alright, she wouldn't know what it was, but she would she'd be like, there's something right there, and it's moving this direction. Alright? And what she would be pointing at would be a boat moving that same direction. Because the electrons on that, like, metal plate in between her brain would fire off little electric sparks that would activate the neurons and simulate, like, sight. So when I heard about this, it didn't really surprise me because I knew we were getting closer to it. Because I'm thinking this is what it really is too, isn't it?
We'll get to that. Hold on. We'll get to what it is. So, I'm going to preface this by saying that, and when I was in high school, Google had some sort of contact lens and with like cameras in it. I'm not sure specifically how it worked. It's been a long time since I've even seen the concept pop up. So this may be a step in that direction, at least in one way, shape, or form. But the article essentially talks about how a modified pair of glasses, essentially think like Google, but it's glasses with a camera in the center, so the camera's about here-ish, and their glasses are blacked out. It was used in a trial on a Spanish woman by the name of Bernadetta Gomez. Basically, it was a pair of modified glasses, a blackout tint for the lenses with a tiny camera in the center. The contraption, they say, is hooked up to a computer that processes a live video feed, turning it into electronic signals. A cable suspended from the ceiling links the system to a port embedded in the back of Gomez's skull with a wire that is wired to a 100 electrode implant in the visual cortex in the rear of her brain. So they actually made an implant that gets stuck into your brain, and there's a port.
This is what I was talking about, actually. Sure shit. This is actually very similar to what I was talking about.
Yeah, but this is probably a significantly more sophisticated.
Yeah. This might actually provide an image.
It's very rudimentary. The article says that the image seen is very low resolution. It's a small 25 by 25 pixel semblance, I think. It says here researcher Eduardo Fernandez, director of neuroengineering at the University of Miguel Hernandez in Elche, Spain, designed this. His goal was to return sight to as many people as possible of the 36 million blind people worldwide who wish to see again. Fernandez's approach is particularly exciting because it bypasses the eye and the optical nerve. So Google's design sat on the eye, and it kind of like was a replacement for the eye in one way, shape, or form. One way, shape, or form might be a little bit too much. A little bit too much there. So it says much earlier research attempted to restore vision by creating an artificial eye or retina. It worked, but the vast majority of blind people like Gomez have damage to the nerve system connecting the retina to the back of the brain. An artificial eye won't solve blindness in those people. So in 2015, the company's second site received approval to sell an artificial retina in Europe. In 2011 and in the US in 2013 for a rare disease called retinitis pigmentosa. Switched 2 decades of work away from the retina cortex. Second Sight says slightly more than 350 people are using its Argus 2 retinal implant. So for people, there's different types of blindness for anyone that isn't aware of how blindness can be.
It's like a spectrum.
I don't want to use the word accrued, but how you can become blind. You can have damage to your eye, specifically, like the retina. There's tons of parts of the eye that can get damaged. But even the whole eye itself, you can get a pencil through the eye.
But you actually don't lose the sight. If it's minimal damage,
if you lose the eye,
if you lose the eye, if serious damage, you don't see. But minimal damage.
But you can create an artificial eye, and that's what Second Sight had done.
Yeah.
But then there's nerve damage, and nerve damage can come by a couple of ways. Your nerves could separate. There's an actual condition for that. Hemorrhaging too would be another way that this could happen. Your nerves could separate from your eye. Retinal nerves, because there's literally a blood burst in your eye. I mean, shit's terrifying. Cough, cough, Joe Biden. He had a retinal hemorrhage. He had a blood vessel burst in his eye.
On TV on live debate. But that's one way it could happen. That's how. Thank God it didn't happen to him.
There's the other diseases that could corrode the eye. The woman in question for this article, her name, like I said, her name is Bernadetta Gomez. She had toxic optic neuropathy.
So the toxin.
She was diagnosed. Huh?
She went blind through a toxin.
destroyed the bundles of nerves that connect the Gomez's eyes to her brain, rendering her totally without sight.
She was
She's even
basically
unable to
poisoned.
light.
In a sense.
Kinda. I don't know the specifics on her disease, but I do know that it destroyed the nerve bundles attaching her eye to her brain. The goal of this project is to replace those nerves, per se. Obviously, you can't reattach nerves. Once your nerves are gone, they're gone. So the idea is they create a specialized lens, or camera, per se, to go that sits in a pair of glasses on your eye, and that gets hooked in maybe to a computer that could be sitting either on your back in a backpack or on your waist. Maybe
or it might just be like a small microcomputer. It maybe just might be actually like on the PCB that's sitting in the port that goes into it.
It could be your phone. Anything that's got the computational power to process the images and send them to the port.
Hell, even a Raspberry Pi at this point.
I mean, those are small enough. Anything that's small enough to sit in a pocket, in a backpack, in a purse, anything that's got the computational power necessary to process these images and convert them to signals for your brain. So coming from the article, this article, like I said, was written by Russ Jaskalian. Probably butchered your name. I apologize. Coming from MIT Tech Review. This person got to meet the director for the program. He said, during a recent visit I made to palm-studded Elche, Fernandez told me that advances in implant technology and a more refined understanding of the human visual system have given him the confidence to go straight into the brain. The information on the nervous system is the same information that's in an electrical device, he says. And that's technically true.
Yeah.
Your nervous system is essentially electrical signals being transmitted via biological pathways.
It's basically, instead of copper, it's proteins.
Yeah.
Right.
Enzymes, proteins, yeah. Restoring a sight by feeding signals directly to the brain is ambitious, but the underlying principles have been used in human electronic implants in mainstream medicine for decades. Right now, Fernandez explains, we have many electric devices interacting with the human body. One of them is the pacemaker. And in the sensory system, we have the cochlear implant.
So you can actually hear.
Yeah. So this device, this latter device is the hearing version of the prosthesis Fernandez built for Gomez. An external microphone and processing system that transmits a digital signal to an implant in the inner ear. The implant's electrodes send pulses of current into nearby nerves that the brain interprets as sound. The cochlear implant, which was first installed in a patient in 1961, lets over 500,000 people around the globe have conversations as a normal part of everyday life. So, the idea for this is you've got a implant. It's literally like
a little metal piece with a bunch of electrodes on it, and they're just literally just like put right next to your brain.
It's 100 nail-shaped electrodes.
Yep.
That go in and out of the ocular portion of your brain, and those are wired to a port in the base of your skull that is further wired to a computer that is further wired
to a pair of glasses with
a camera,
a physical a camera. The thing is,
Gomez's particular implant could only render 10 by 10 pixels. By the way, so they're working on different versions for her at the moment that go from 25 by 25 to and then to 60 by 60. The idea is that they're trying to eventually
reach a higher resolution
as human sight. Yeah.
All right. So real quick, I want to say something. So we all know one of the 3 projects that Elon Musk runs. He runs Tesla, he runs SpaceX, and the lesser known one is Neuralinks. Okay.
Never heard about this one, so shoot your shot.
All right, Neuralink. Oh, sure. If I'm correct on it, Neuralinks, Elon Musk. All right, he's basically working on interfaces with the brain.
So similar to what these guys are doing.
Basically. And
Elon Musk, he has money. He can just throw money at the problem.
Basically, he's throwing nothing but money at the problem. All right, but this is one of the three things he works on. All right.
All right.
What what he compared it to is that it's like having two giant supercomputers connect through an old like 80s internet connection. Okay.
I like the sound of that.
Because we do have really good cameras, alright? And our brains are amazing creations.
I think it takes a specially designed camera for this, though.
No.
I feel like.
No. It's just you just gotta figure out how to communicate between them. Alright? As soon as you can figure out, because we can basically just put a net on your head at the moment. Alright? And you can just think of a letter. And after like a minute or two, the computer can correctly input that letter onto like a Word document.
It's reading brain signals, yeah.
Yes. Alright? But
man, it's amazing to think that we're gonna have people like Geordie LaForge from Star Trek in a few years with these big old goggles on their head.
But it takes so
Jerry's
long.
Laughing. He knows.
It takes so long to do it, and the connection speed is so small. All right, that the bottleneck is not the brain or the devices you're trying to connect to it. Mm-hmm. It's the connection itself, because while the brain is really powerful,
its signal is
it's like building like a supercomputer, but the only way you can access and take any data off of it is through a fast Ethernet port on the back. All right.
A what?
A fast Ethernet port. 100 megabit per second. That's 10 megabytes per second. Okay.
So are we gonna talk about? So I guess what we're really talking about here is giving all of our blind patients some serious hits of speed every time.
Basically, we just gotta put a 10 gig network nick in their freaking brain. Okay.
Let's do it.
That's what we gotta do. All
Throw
right.
money at the problem. Do it.
Once you figure out how to increase the speed in which two devices, and the two devices being the brain and what you're piping into the brain, the device that's piping stuff into the brain. Once you can speed up that connection, all right, where a lot more data can travel between them, all right, then you can do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah.
All right. That's why you can have like artificial limbs right now that you can move. All right. They don't move fast. They're not super responsive, but they can wire into you and you can move them.
So really, the goal is finding a way to accelerate the signal so that way the brain can process it.
Yes.
All right.
It's basically just trying to make it so like you can
neuroscience.
Basically, how fast you can move data between the brain and the device. All right. Okay. And right now, it's extremely slow. That's why that's why the pixels that they're using, all right, they're making a comparison. It's not exactly pixels, but they're making a comparison to 10 pixels because that's literally all they can do at the moment. All right, because they don't have enough bandwidth or speed to do it.
All right.
The bandwidth of the human.
But you also got to remember, on computers, here's the funny thing. Which has more bandwidth allocated to it, the video stream or the audio stream?
Audio, right?
No,
video.
Video. All right.
Okay.
Video needs so much more data. All right. Well, audio is actually very cheap.
I feel like I knew that answer going in, but I second guessed myself because we stream all the time. Like, I know how much bandwidth my computer sucks up for streaming.
Visual stuff needs more bandwidth than audio. That's why we can do cochlear implants, and they're basically pretty good. All right, and they're very useful. They're basically as good as we need them to be. You get it? Yeah. That's why they're a thing. All right, but that's why we don't have like the cochlear implant equivalent to sight.
Well, we do now. At least it's moving its way up.
Yeah, there's actual working basic prototypes.
Nice.
And test subjects that are actually working with it. All right. So it's basically just trying to develop a way for a computer and a brain to communicate more efficiently. All right. That's why, like, if you watch a show like Ghost in a Shell, all right, yes,
I get that one.
all right, you realize basically the entire brain is inside
A
a
machine
capsule.
and a robot
All right.
body.
That's not because they need the brain to be in an actual shell, but they need it for connectivity. Okay.
I
If you don't have
I
the
recognize
speed,
that one.
if you don't have the speed to react to things coming in and outputting stuff, you can't do anything really. It's like if you took us, all right, who've been spoiled on the fastest internet today, and put us back in like the Apple II era.
I would fucking shoot myself.
Exactly.
I don't even want to think about it.
All
I
right.
would fucking shoot myself.
It's just that the connections are too slow.
Listen,
and
I
it's not well understood.
lived DSL. I remember my grandfather's first laptop, going to his house and playing educational games on that bitch. I don't want to do it again.
It's an entire thing on speed.
Fuck that. No,
All right?
thank you.
Once the speed and the bandwidth between the two devices grow, all right, you can do a lot more. All right.
Ugh.
So that's what's going on here.
Yeah.
Because we all know this is possible.
It's promising.
We all know it's possible. It just how long until it's actually useful.
Viable. Yeah.
All right.
All right.
So that's the big point of it.
You're up next on your topic. So you wanna spearhead that?
Oh, Microsoft Teams being actually useless? I don't even know what it was for the first week. All right. Basically, they installed a Microsoft's version of Discord. All right. And no one
Because
gave a
Skype
shit.
wasn't enough for Microsoft Teams.
No one gave a shit about it. And now Slack is being like, yeah. Yeah. Everyone uses Slack over Microsoft Teams. Everyone's been using Slack over Microsoft Teams. Alright?
I feel like this just has to suck for Microsoft because, they invest so much money into a product.
Microsoft's supposed to be a software company, and all the shit they come out with, alright? The only good thing.
But there's a large portion of failed products that they have.
Alright? They have so many failed products or things with so many flaws. Alright? The only things they've done good in recent memory is like server software, and development kits and graphics related stuff.
Xbox.
Right? Windows, they failed in the phone market, not because the phones themselves are bad, but because the operating system was terrible.
I'm really looking forward to that Surface Duo still.
But
I want it to live up to the hype.
The only good piece of software that people still actually can't live without from Microsoft is basically Word. I mean, Microsoft Office in general. Right?
Yeah, the Office suite is really.
The Office suite basically has everything you need, but it's also probably one of the simplest products you can make as a software company.
It's just
you can't fuck it up.
Word processor.
You actually cannot fuck it up.
Don't say you can't, because I'm pretty sure someone has. Putting that out there.
But, IBM just said screw Microsoft Teams. Actually just said screw it. Alright? There's no reason to switch over. Because Slack already had everything. Alright? And for those who don't know what Slack is, it's basically business Discord.
Even though Discord is fine for that, too.
Yeah.
I've used Discord for college, so.
But it offers more business-related features. But that's what Slack is. And that's what Microsoft tried to compete with Slack, with Microsoft Teams.
Even though Skype for Business was a thing, Microsoft competed with themselves again.
No one uses Skype anymore. Okay.
No one uses Skype.
Alright. They basically just tried to rip off Discord and Slack and just automatically install it. Alright? It wasn't something you an optional product you can download. Alright? It was literally you download the update for my Windows and it's there. Alright? and I uninstalled it once. All right, for when it came out, because I didn't know what the hell it was. Teams. I believe you can uninstall Teams. All right, I think I did, and then my computer updated again another week later, and it was back on. All right. So it's not even like something that you opt into. Alright. It's there by default. Alright. And it's not even a good default. Alright. When you have a good default, alright, life is grand. Okay, but when you don't have a good default, you just want to shoot yourself. We all know the pain of opening up Edge to install Chrome.
I have Firefox. I still had to open Edge for it.
Big whoop.
Yeah.
Alright. So...
I don't like having all my RAM being eaten up.
Slack would just destroy Teams without Team even being out yet. And then when it came out, everyone looked at it like, nah.
Cool.
And just walked away.
Yep. Alright.
They had to do something crazy with Teams to make people switch over. So, yeah.
Yep.
Slack just destroys Teams. Alright, but it doesn't cut into Discord's marketplace because Discord hits someone else. Discord hits more like ground roost communities or gaming communities or art communities. They're basically for like Discord is more like for like the hobbyists and the and enthusiasts and gamers than for business. You get it?
Yeah.
Well, Slack covers the business part. Alright, because Slack you actually got to pay for like servers and everything, but you actually know what's going on with the servers. Discord, you create a server and you don't have you have control over the server, but you don't actually own the server. Okay.
Yep. All right.
So
we're gonna jump on to our last two topics of the night.
We got
Jerry,
Sprint. We got Sprint and shit.
All right, so if you didn't already know, T-Mobile and Sprint are merging, and a lot of people don't understand what that means for them. So let's just go over a few things. Is your phone bill gonna go up?
Probably.
The short answer is yes, and the long answer is not yet. So they've guaranteed that for T-Mobile that the prices of their plans will not go up for 3 years.
Your Sprint,
will
though,
your phone still be compatible? T-Mobile has a wide coverage map, potentially improving calls for Sprint customers, but the two phone providers operate on different networks, a frequent headache for people looking to switch plans. T-Mobile is GSM and Sprint uses CDMA, which means Sprint consumers with older phones might need to buy new ones.
But if you have like a new iPhone or like one of the new Samsung phones,
all Samsung and
basically anything made within the last 5 years
point will work on GSM and CDMA.
Yeah, anything made within like the last 3 to 4 years.
Yeah, so basically it's only if your phone only works.
If you have an iPhone 5,
basically you need GSM.
Okay, if you have an iPhone 5 or iPhone 4, you need a new phone. But you need a new phone to begin with. Okay. I know it's old. I know you love your iPhone 4 and it's old reliable.
Hold on.
All right, but you need a phone.
Affect continued availability of unlimited plans because Sprint and T-Mobile fought hard on that turf, pushing AT&T and Verizon to compete. Over time, a lack of competition on the unlimited front can make it less likely that phone companies will offer them.
Yeah, please do unlimited plans. I love my unlimited plans.
They're doing
a public interest group suggests customers could end up losing those plans in favor of capped plans that choke users after data limits are used, which just means that the prices are going to be lower.
Like, I don't understand like a limit plan if you're like 65 and you don't know what the internet is still.
Here's the
All
thing.
right.
I think the United States has the most expensive data in the world,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it's not the fastest.
No. It's
Not by a long
it's
shot.
fine.
That's
But it's
what
not the
makes me
fastest.
think that honestly they can probably give everybody unlimited plans and still be making just about the same amount of money.
I know. But
yeah.
look, I enjoy an unlimited plan. Trust me, I abuse the shit out of that unlimited plan.
I probably easily hit like 100 gigabytes a month, if not higher.
All right. Having the unlimited plan is a godsend, especially for us who use our phones all the time. But if you're someone like my grandpa, for example, all right,
He probably only was what 4 gigabytes a month.
you know all he does for his phone.
Mahjong,
All right,
solitaire,
no,
calls, text messages.
not even text messages. Okay,
But doesn't he just have like a cheapo slider phone? Because they still sell those.
because all he does is call people, listen to Pandora, all right, in his car, and look at his stocks.
I understand that.
Okay.
Speaking of which, I gotta make a footnote for myself for when I get paid tomorrow. Nokia stocks. I should have bought AMD when I had the chance. I'm a fucking moron.
Hey, I'll send you a link. I'll send you a Robinhood link. Alright, give me a free $10 and you get a free $10.
Nice.
Alright. But, I mean, I can understand a limited plan if it's, like, dirt cheap. Alright? But I feel like in 2020, an unlimited plan should be the baseline plan. Okay.
I'm gonna go counter to that because there are still plenty of families that can't afford it in the U.S.
I'm saying
We have some
baseline
pretty
as
fucking
the
expensive
affordable plan. The normal plan, alright, that everyone has. I'm not saying... because at the moment...
So what would the advantages be then for other plans? You know, if all plans were just unlimited data plans, what would they do from then on? You know?
Yeah. Alright, but then again, you could also say the same to most ISPs.
And data is kind of finite. Let's just be 100% real. You know, they'd have to build facilities.
Now you can cap their speeds on some points. Alright?
They already do.
Yeah, that's the
AT&T
thing.
throttles you from... AT&T throttles you down to... throttles you after 24 gigabytes.
No, it's 30.
It's 30 now? It used to be 24.
No, it always was 30. I know it was always 30. Unless,
Alright, well, either way, they throttle the shit out of you.
But I understand that at that point, though. Because a cellular network is not a Wi-Fi network. Alright? There's a shitload of connections. Those connections have to go far. Alright? And they can't... And there's a bunch of interference. Alright? There's a lot more things happening in a cellular connection. Alright, that's going to towers. And to satellites. Than a Wi-Fi connection. You get it?
Yeah.
So, there's a lot more work that has to be done for a cellular connection. Alright? So I understand them doing speed decreases, throttling your speeds, because we all remember what happened with the first Pokemon Go Fest, right? Alright, where everyone showed up for it, okay? But the cell towers literally could not handle the traffic coming from it, okay?
No, they couldn't at all.
So having to queue people sometimes is a necessary. It's a necessary evil, sadly.
Yeah, well, it's
okay.
not. There'll never be enough.
But
bandwidth
if you make it the standard, all right, and people start complaining about it, then that inspires competition where they have to do something about it.
All right, I'd agree to disagree on that one.
So, if you make it the standard, all right, the company, everyone has to make it a standard plan at that point, lowering the price, all right, making it more competition. So that plan slowly starts to go down, all right. So if you offer your normal plan as an unlimited plan, all right, everyone else has to compete with you now. Okay? Meaning they have to drop the price of their unlimited plan. Alright? And let's say someone has the fastest speed on their unlimited plan. Alright? Now everyone has to compete to increase their speeds. That's how it works. You get it?
Alright. Hey, David.
Yes. I can't really check Discord because of the live stream right now.
I'll send you something later.
But that's the point.
Mm-hmm.
Alright? You don't have to do it, but it would be good. Alright? It's good to inspire competition. Because the competition makes things better.
Okay.
Okay?
I'm not arguing on that front. I agree. Competition's important.
So, I hope they keep unlimited plans. Alright? They better never ever go away. Because the amount of data people use is just constantly going up.
No, they're going to be around to stay. I think this time for sure.
Alright? We are in 2020. People are on their phones almost all the freaking time. Alright? And it's
I found out that home internet, at least for our area and under Xfinity, is not unlimited.
But most people get the unlimited plan.
No, unless your plan says otherwise, it's not. And unfortunately, I believe the cap is like... What's the download cap now? There was a whole scandal about this like a couple of years ago, and I remember the data caps being low, and then it was like $30 every terabyte you downloaded at home. And we're gamers, like we use that in a fucking hour.
Yeah.
Downloading data from a game is ridiculous. Playing live and streaming is ridiculous. Upload too.
I'm gonna be honest. Do something like very controversial, but this is the funny thing that Spectrum never did to me. Was cap my internet. Alright? When I was living in Orlando, we had 3 gamers, but really we weren't crazy. Alright?
Yeah.
And we had 60 megabits up and down. Okay?
Alright.
Not once we actually wired into the router like we were all supposed to be. Alright? There was never an internet problem ever. And when I looked at my bill was no more than what it was always supposed to be. Okay? We never ran out of data. We never had any slowdowns.
Alright.
One sec.
I don't know. I really don't have much to say on Sprint T-Mobile merger. So.
Yeah, it's not gonna affect me. I got AT&T.
Yeah. Hey, David. Want to jump on to the last topic of the night?
Yeah, we'll do the last one. Alright, so this is a funny thing. So, I believe it was Malware Bytes said there's a bunch of vulnerabilities in macOS at the moment. It's
the year in review from them, so it's the entire year.
Okay.
It's literally just somehow.
There's always vulnerabilities. I'll tell you that one thing. There's a bunch of vulnerabilities no matter what. All right.
But
do not assume no matter what platform you're on, you are always protected. Do not.
No, I know.
All right. This is just a quantity at the moment. All right. But also, getting to these vulnerabilities is different between the platforms. Okay.
But it's just interesting to see how vulnerable one
platform is compared to another. I know.
Yeah.
All right. So it's very interesting because Macs do probably have a bunch of vulnerabilities. They're probably more vulnerabilities than they probably list here.
I believe that.
Okay. There's everything has vulnerabilities. Everything. Alright? Even if you take the precautions to protect yourself, those protections have vulnerabilities.
Yeah.
Okay. So this didn't really surprise me as much, but I
I
want to
just
see.
thought it was interesting.
But there's also a thing I want to bring up: how easy it is to get to these vulnerabilities. Easy to like get to these vulnerabilities. Like, if the vulnerability's there, but it's hard to access or use, all right, is it worth it? Like, you have to go through this convoluted step, all right? Because if you, I'm gonna bring up a comparison between how Linux and Mac run their apps compared to most Windows applications.
Mm-hmm.
Most Linux and Mac apps run their code in an isolated environment for the most part, with very few things going in and out of the app to the operating system. That's why you can update a bunch of things on a Mac and Linux machine with very few restarts. You get it? If you need a restart, period. Unless you're literally updating, like, the only operating system I know that can update while still running, alright, is a Linux box. Okay. Hey, guys, what's going on, bro? You came at the very end.
Oh, no. You joined us. No. So on gadgets.
So, but with Windows, applications have a lot more access to the hardware. And actual, like, they have more access to the machine itself and the operating system. That's one of the things that makes Windows sometimes more powerful. Alright? But it's also a giant vulnerability sometimes. If Microsoft does not keep up on this, alright, viruses can just run rampant in Windows. Alright? So, it's a lot harder. While there might be a bunch of, like, vulnerabilities in macOS, and the same at the extent Linux too, because Linux is not like, it's harder. All right, but
Linux is harder to protect, isn't it?
No, Linux is actually, because Linux updates really, really fast, and there's a patches coming out almost every other week.
All right,
because compared to Microsoft and Apple, there are more Linux developers. All right. So there's more people working on the Linux kernel, alright, than there are people working on Mac OS and Windows.
Makes sense.
Entirely. Alright. So people are in, like, Linux can find vulnerabilities faster, patch them in, and submit those requests, alright, and after about a week or two of testing, they're put into a patch and they're out.
Okay.
You get it?
Yeah.
Apple does this really well as well because they have a closed ecosystem. So they're able to isolate their vulnerabilities very fast and patch them out. That's why whenever you hear about, like, a major vulnerability in an Apple product, alright?
It's usually not around for much longer.
It's not around for a long time, alright? Because they're able to isolate the problem really fast and push out really fast. Okay? That's one big problem with Windows, though. Alright? It's also a very similar problem to Android, too, by comparison. Because while Android is technically a Linux distribution, alright? Unlike Linux, where it goes out every 2 weeks.
Once a month, if you're lucky,
right?
security-wise.
Even once a month, rarely. Alright? And then phone hardware is much harder to develop onto. Alright? So, while the Android kernel that based off of Linux might have that fix, alright, your phone will not get that fix until your cell phone manufacturer updates their distribution of Android and pushes it out. All right.
Mm-hmm. And then your carrier has to push it out too, unless you have an unlocked device.
Yes.
And it has to get approved by the FCC. And...
Yeah, it has to go through a lot more steps. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand the gist of
and
that.
It's a very similar problem with Windows. But Windows, their problem is it's not that they can't get their patches out in time. They can get their patches out really fast. Alright? It's more of the isolation problem. Finding out what's actually wrong than how to fix it. Okay? Because once Microsoft finds the vulnerability and is able to fix it, the patches out pretty fast, to be honest, to cover the vulnerability. Okay? But the problem is, Windows is built to run on so many things, and since Microsoft's old testing practices are gone, okay, most of like the vulnerabilities and bugs you have in Windows. All right, go watch Barnaby's videos on this. He's an ex-Microsoft employee and explains all this stuff. All right.
All right.
They do most of their testing on virtual machines now, not actual hardware. That's why Windows, if you look at like Windows XP compared to like Vista, is where this big change happened. Okay. Most of Vista's vulnerabilities and bug checking was on actual hardware. Okay.
All right, like they had
and they've had people actually go in and do this, like real life people. All right, and then they would submit it, and they would know exactly where the problem was. All right. This is why back in the early days, Windows did not have beta testing. Okay.
All right.
They didn't have this Microsoft Windows Insider shit. All right.
The beta testing.
But every big release of Windows now goes through the standard like bug checking phase and simple vulnerability phases that are just for the operating system itself, independent of any hardware. All right, and they push it out. All right, it first goes to the Windows insiders. Okay, and you gotta hope. All right, that those Windows insiders
catch a bug.
Not just that they catch a bug, they report it right. And then, then there's also the problem, because you can only do so much from just looking at someone saying what's wrong. You actually need data from like the system memory on where it's coming from. Alright? So, for example, whenever a program goes wrong on Windows, like it stops responding and it asks you to send something to Microsoft. Alright? What it's taking is, instead of taking a full like memory dump from the entire system, alright, it's only isolated to that small Windows program. Alright? So, and it sends it out to Microsoft. Alright? But here's the problem. Alright? And Brian could go over this well in this video as well. Alright? Sometimes there's nothing wrong with the program itself or what's actually going on with the computer. It might be a dependency problem or something else is running at the same time and it's causing a conflict. Okay? So, it could be an entirely different problem than what you're actually sending to Microsoft. Alright? So, while Android has a problem with getting their updates out fast enough, and the isolation part of it, alright, that's worse, alright, for Android. Alright. Then you have Windows, which it's not that they can't get their updates out of, but the isolation part is their biggest problem. They can't figure out what the shit is. You get it?
Mm-hmm.
But that's why people consider macOS and Linux a little bit more secure, because they're able to find these vulnerabilities and patch them out quickly. Okay? Because one of the good things about Apple is that they have their closed ecosystem, and they can just run this on all their devices they put out. Alright?
Alright.
And they have that limited range of hardware. Alright? So they can isolate that problem pretty fast. Especially on an iPhone. Okay? The only thing that's different between iPhones, if the only thing difference between one iPhone 10 and the other iPhone 10 might be just how big the SSD on it is. Okay?
Okay.
So you can just run these tests and test this vulnerability on all these devices. Doesn't take too long. Alright? All the supported devices you have. And if you find out exactly where the bug is or where the vulnerability is, patch it out. Alright? Send it off through over-the-air updates and you're good. Alright? Linux just brute forces this shit. Linux just throws people at the problem.
That's the Linux approach, huh?
Alright? Linux just throws so many people at the problem.
Fuck the rules, be people.
Yes, it literally just says, there's a problem here. Alright? And we're going to give you a certain amount of money if you can fix this problem.
Alright.
Alright?
Isn't that kind of the same thing that a lot of the other agent companies do? Like I know Microsoft has some sort of cash reward for people that find and fix some bugs and shit.
They can't fix the bugs. They can only report them.
All right, bug reporting.
All right.
Didn't Jeff say he earned some money once by fixing a couple bugs for Steam or reporting some bugs for Steam?
Well, a bunch of stuff from Valve is actually open source.
Okay.
All right. For God's sake, Steam OS is a distribution of Debian. Okay. So you just take the Debian distribution, which has a Linux kernel. All right.
All right.
And you just add a bunch of software on top of it. Some of it could be proprietary. Most of it's probably open source. Right? If I felt like it, okay, it's pretty damn easy to load up the Linux kernel source code on your computer. Alright? And a bunch of people do this. Alright? And for example, Canonical, who does the Ubuntu shit, okay? They're a big company that basically just writes additions to the Linux kernel. They will submit it to the Linux Foundation. The Linux Foundation will just do testing on it or send it out to people to do testing on it. Alright? After like a few weeks, when all the people say their testing's good, alright, they compile it into a patch and send it out. Alright?
Alright.
That's why it works. That's how it works, basically. So, they just... When you're running a Linux distribution, that's why people consider Linux a little bit more safer, because just how they're able to brute force the problem. Basically, they're able to like say, we have this vulnerability, it's pretty urgent, that's why we're paying you more. If there's something not crazy, like there's a bug, but it's not a crazy game-breaking bug, alright, they don't offer much of a reward for it. There's a reward, but there's a small reward for it. Alright?
Okay.
But if it's like a big vulnerability, like a 0 day, okay, they offer a shitload of money for it, and they tell you this it's urgent, so it gets people on it right away.
Got it.
You get it?
Yeah,
and they have so many systems to test it on. All right, they're able to just basically isolate the problem almost immediately. If someone I can't say like the entire community, someone will within a few like day or week find a vulnerability, exactly what it is, tell everyone where it is, alright? Everyone then tries their best to patch it out, alright? When it becomes successfully patched out and it's all tested, they merge it into the actual kernel, they package it out, they update the kernel, alright? For everyone to use, and then all the distros, alright? Since they're not they're not like Android, where they're not reliant on like all the they're all built on x86 or 64-bit. All right, they're all using the same instruction set, so it makes no difference. All right.
All right.
A Ubuntu distro can just literally just pull the new kernel, and that's it. You get it?
Yeah.
Because the kernel, so that's basically how they patch things out. So for Linux and macOS, macOS has the best of both worlds where they're able to isolate things easily and then patch out fast. And get that patch out fast.
I'd say that means Microsoft's kind of meh for the patching.
Yeah. That's why
All right.
Microsoft will push out a patch. They certified and everything. Alright? But will break the day when it comes out. We all remember
right.
the October 2018 update. Where you're actually losing files.
And then
Okay.
there was the recent security patch that was causing people's systems to go into a boot loop.
Exactly. Alright?
Yep.
It's them trying to isolate the problem. Alright? And they have such a hard time isolating the problem. Alright? When you're programming, you try to fix one bug, 10 more show up. Okay?
Yep, and also the mileage may vary.
Yes.
You have a couple million devices rolling out with Windows 10 and a security patch, and if your beta testing team is only 50 people and only had 5 hours to work with it, that's 250 hours. Whereas the first hour of a million devices getting it is a million hours for something to go wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright.
So I think we're gonna wrap it up
Yeah.
here though, because it's getting pretty late. It's 10 o'clock, and I can say for certain that this is probably one of the longer ones that we've done.
We've had a longer. The last one was 3 hours. This one's 2 hours and 12 minutes.
All right.
It wasn't super long. We just had a bunch of like China phone shit.
Yep, a lot of phone talk this week. Hopefully next week will be a little bit more entertaining outside of just phones.
Because hopefully something interesting happens next week. Like, God forbid something that is not something from Samsung or China is happening next week. Okay.
Anyway, yeah. Peace out, guys. Have a good night. Anyone that's stuff.
Good night, guys.
Take care.